Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This week's edition of World Crisis Radio. Webster Tarpley reporting to you from Washington, D.C., and it's the afternoon of Friday, January 30th here in Washington, D.C., and what a week it has been. This is a landmark time in world history, a genuine turning point, and this program has contributed at least something to the success of Syriza, right? We've been following the Greek left party, left union, Syriza, since 2012. And you'll also perhaps remember that when we had the founding of the United Front Against Austerity in October of 2012, we had an address specifically from the current finance minister of Greece, Yanis Varoufakis. At that point, he was a professor, part of this opposition party, but he has now become the finance minister of Greece. And in a scene that you've got to see, you can see this on Russia Today, I guess gives you the best version. Yanis Varoufakis, now the finance minister of Greece, has just today told the representative of the European Union finance ministers, and that is a guy called Jeroen Dijsselbloem, Mynheer Dijsselbloem, is told that you are pursuing an anti-European policy. Your austerity policies are anti-European. And this was very interesting. It was the conclusion of a negotiating session between Varoufakis and Dijsselbloem. And Dijsselbloem was rebuffed, saying, you have a policy which is rotten. It's based on a rotten basis. And of course, Dijsselbloem is there not just as the finance minister of the Netherlands and not just as the representative of this floating crap game of all the European Union finance ministers. No, he's there as an austerity enforcer. He's the bailout administrator, right? He's in the eyes of the Troika, he's the austerity man, right? So he's supposed to make sure that everything is done. This reminds me of the role of Parker Gilbert. Parker Gilbert in Germany in the 1920s was the U.S. reparations representative, right? He was supposed to make sure that the Germans paid up. Didn't matter what happened. They had to pay. So that's Dijsselbloem. Call him the bailout administrator. So the upshot is Varoufakis says, we will not negotiate with the Troika. We're not going to talk to the International Monetary Fund. We're not going to talk to the European Central Bank. And we're not going to talk to the European Commission under this Juncker, right, representative of bankers, right? Banker's boy from Luxembourg. That's all there is in Luxembourg these days is offshore banks, shady, unreliable. You get the idea. So that's a great day, and that certainly shocked this oligarch, right? This representative of finance predators. You should see the film. It's extremely awkward handshake at the end, right? Dijsselbloem can't wait to get out of the room. He's looking in the other direction. You can see him screwing his face up into this awful grimace as Varoufakis goes through the stuff. So that's just one scene out of all this. So we of the United Front Against Austerity and the Tax Wall Street Party. And that's, of course, taxwallstreetparty@gmail.com, taxwallstreetparty@gmail.com. We are happy to see this. We have done everything possible. You've been listening to the reports of Michael Chiotinis from Athens, both in 2012 and also more recently. Let's just sum up some of the lessons for the U.S. Because we do not have a lot of time. The first lesson is the negative one. This week we had Chris Hayes come on MSNBC and saying, imagine if Occupy Wall Street took over the U.S. government. Well, sorry, Chris, this is exactly not what has happened. No way, Jose. It's not like Occupy. In fact, it's the opposite of Occupy in many ways. You'll remember that the absolute imbecility of Occupy Wall Street was to say, we don't have any demands and we won't have any. We don't want to have any. They're dangerous because you might win your demands and then you'd be co-opted and then you couldn't be an anarchist anymore and defecate in the park. Oh, no, that would be the end of the world. Remember, the Occupy program was that everybody was going to join you in the park. So therefore, what they talked about was not a program that would be of interest to everybody, but that would simply praise their General Assembly, their various mind-destroying methods, human microphone, and this consensus method, and this other straitjacket they put themselves in. In the case of Syriza, it's quite the opposite. We have, as we went through last week, an articulated, detailed program of mass traction economic demands to make sure that the poorest people have electricity, that they have food, that they have medical care, that they have a home, that they don't have to pay taxes, that they won't be crushed by debt, that they won't be harassed by tax collectors, and so forth. 300,000 new jobs. In other words, dozens of programmatic points, which unfortunately the Occupy Wall Street could never see their way to getting to, right? They could never really come up with anything. So, mass traction economic demands, and that's, of course, what we've been recommending. Also, the program of Syriza is a New Deal for Europe, a pan-European New Deal. Well, that's us. Occupy doesn't have it, but United Front Against Austerity and the Tax Wall Street Party certainly does. And this is not just pie in the sky. A 50% write-down on the Greek public financial debt. 320 billion, cut it in half to 160 billion, and you can begin to talk and to breathe. The word this week was that the era of suffocating austerity, choking, strangling austerity is coming to an end. Also notice, in the catalog of demands from Syriza, we don't have a big hue and cry about radical environmentalism. We don't have global warming, climate change, carbon tax. My God, no inkling. And nothing about cap and trade and these other monstrosities of the U.S. Democratic Party. The program is pro-labor. Obviously, the left liberal mushhead is anti-labor. It's pro-worker, too, as individual workers. Time to roll back what is called reforms. And remember, we've been looking at the Wall Street Journal this week and what they write about this stuff. And they say, well, it's time to have an overhaul of the labor market, right? It's time to have reforms. It's time to have flexibility. Well, when you hear those words, run for your life, because those are frauds, right? Overhauls and so forth. On Monday, January 26th, the Wall Street Journal is writing that Samaras lost. His chief failing was the lack of conviction and skill in implementing reforms to labor markets. When they say reforms, they mean strip you of your rights and call that a reform, or an overhaul. And flexibility means you're fired. So Syriza rejects all of that. And the analogous party here in the United States is the Tax Wall Street Party, the United Front Against Austerity. Not Amy, Michael Moore, or any of these things. Back in a minute.
Did you know by age 50, half of all men have an enlarged prostate? This means more urges to urinate, longer bathroom trips, waking at night to urinate, or issues with sex. If this sounds familiar, call us now, because we're shipping free bottles of Super Beta Prostate to listeners of this station. Super Beta Prostate is a non-prescription formula guaranteed to reduce the symptoms of your enlarged prostate. It's yours free. Pay only shipping and handling. Just call 1-800-467-5059. In clinical trials, the ingredient in Super Beta Prostate was shown to reduce urges to urinate, improve bladder emptying, reduce waking at night to urinate, and improve quality of life. This Super Beta Prostate free offer is for listeners of this station, but it won't last. Don't wait. Just call 1-800-467-5059. That's 1-800-467-5059. Call 1-800-467-5059.
Adam Miller here with Midas Resources. Today, January 19th, 2015, gold opened at $1276.40. A 1 ounce gold coin can be purchased for $1322.93, $661.47 for a half ounce, or $330.73 for a quarter ounce. That's $1258.35, $661.47, and $330.73.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? Wait a sec. Gold and silver is going up while Congress is trying to settle on the next debt increase. And there's no end to this madness. That old 401k and IRA can be converted into physical gold without tax consequences. I explained this in my book, 10 Reasons to Buy Gold. Don't let time slip away. Call for your free copy today, 800-686-2237. Get away from that Washington spin and get honest answers about gold. 800-686-2237. The book is free, 800-686-2237.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
You pick up the receiver with your heart racing and sweat dripping from your forehead. You finally muster the courage to dial the number to call into your favorite talk radio show. It rings once, twice, and then...
Hello, it's GCN. What's your name and the state you're calling from?
Surprised you got through, you squeak out.
Jason from Minnesota.
Please hold.
As you patiently wait for your turn, you begin to daydream about being a famous talk radio host and what it would be like to have your own show.
Jason from Minnesota, you're up.
Millions of loyal listeners worldwide waiting to call and talk to you.
Caller, are you there?
Cheering crowds surround you, calling out your name.
Jason! Going once, twice. Okay, we gotta move on to the next caller.
You blew it.
Huh? Wait, no!
Interact with the host you're listening to right now, online at gcnlive.com. Click on the community link. Engage with other listeners. Ask questions. Start debates. Don't agree with the host? Let them know. Be a part of the community at gcnlive.com. The nation's largest independently owned and operated talk radio network. The Genesis Communications Network. G's.
Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. And if you want to get in touch with the Tax Wall Street Party, which is now the center of attention over here, we're getting calls from people saying